The US presidential debate has just concluded between former President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. And I have to say, I thought this debate could decide the election, and we'd all know who's going to win the election after this debate, but that's not the case. I think Kamala Harris probably performed significantly stronger than many thought would be the case. I think Donald Trump performed about on cue for Donald Trump. He missed several opportunities, but his voters are kind of just used to that anyway. So I don't see any movement on the voting intentions of those who are typically already going to vote Republican or typically already going to vote Democrat. I see no movement there. But of course, what matters is, did it impact the undecided vote? And I wouldn't be surprised if some undecided Democrat leaning decided to vote Republican and some undecided Republicans decided to vote Democrat on that. It, in a way, comes down to which issues matter most to each individual voter. And on that front, we could debate for hours. I think from a market perspective and economics perspective, in terms of forecasting outcomes and things, once again, I would like to stress that I am making my forecast on what I think will happen, not on what I would like to happen. I'm trying to be very objective. I have correctly forecast the last 4 elections of in Australia of the federal election outcomes, both of them, and obviously the first of each. So basically, I've already forecast months in advance. Trump would win, Biden would win, Morrison would win, Albanese would win. Okay, and so I'm trying to get 5 out of 5, and I forecast last year that Trump would beat Biden falling out of the race, which I guess is a victory in a way for Trump. But then he's got a far more competitive opponent in the form of Kamala Harris, and it is very close. So again, I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen, not what I want to have happen. I think Trump is going to just get there. And I think both parties are going to be heavily involved post the vote in terms of electoral vote challenges, legal challenges. So it is going to be a messy election. So it's not going to be a case of we see the election result and then everything is okay. I think we're going to see the election result, and then we're going to see challenges that could drag on for 1 to 2 weeks, perhaps longer. Nevertheless, someone will go into the White House, a new president, in the new year, and I think it's probably just going to be Trump, and that's not disparaging upon Harris. I just think that the majority of the undecided voters are actually bashful Trump voters, less willing to speak up, if you like. So this is how I forecast correctly those previous four elections I mentioned. Is everyone's looking at the headline poll numbers, but it really is, there is an undecided vote there. On the debate itself, I maybe put Harris slightly ahead on the debate, but I do think it was a little bit of repetitive platitudes performance. And I don't know about in other countries, but in Australia, we get far more policy detail on what our respective major parties are planning for the country than seems to be the case in the United States. I thought both leaders were very short on actual policies. It was more about intentions and therefore platitudes. I think on a personal front, not on my personal front, but looking at the individual personalities, how they came across in the debate. And of course, a lot of people are going to disagree with me no matter what I say, so it's very courageous of me to even try and get it right. I think probably people saw Trump as someone he was Trump. So a lot of people understand that he's going to say extreme things because that's his nature. But I think in Harris, they saw, I don't know if anyone else picked this up, but I felt like she was spending a lot of time wondering which facial expression to use at which time. So that, this effort to come across as a very sensitive person runs the risk of moving into the insincere basket. So I think some voters would have seen an insincere, sort of overdoing it Harris on the sensitivity front. Others would have seen a very caring, sensitive potential leader. So yeah, on the debate, I think maybe Harris just ahead. Election outcome, I think probably Trump just ahead. So we'll see what happens. But in terms of market impact, market response has been very muted. I think a lot of people were thinking it was going to be a slam, sort of victory one way or the other, and it certainly wasn't that. And I think a lot of American voters will be very concerned about some of the issues Trump raised, and a lot of American voters will be very concerned about the issues that Vice President Harris raised, and not a lot of movement really on the voting front. I mean, we're talking about very small movement on the voting front in response to that debate. And yeah, I don't really have much more to offer, so I should wrap up. That's sort of thought I usually keep to myself. All right, I wish you all the very best, and let's just hope both candidates truly have America's best interests at heart, and that whatever happens, even with legal challenges, that we get a stable, more forward-looking America in the future. I think both candidates can bring good points to bear in the administration, and voters are going to be already decided or still undecided after this debate. All the best.